Hi everyone, I am Sanchit Batra and welcome back to the Poetry Challenge, where I write a poem every week and then make a video about it where I analyze it and tell you what I as the poet mean in between the lines so that you can become a better literary critic and also know as to what sort of challenges and things you might encounter in your own poetic journey. Now, I must say this challenge is going in quite a few unexpected ways. For you see, in my previous video while I was in the garden, this one I'm back in the room. And that is because you see, I realized in my previous one that it's awfully difficult to remove like all the background noise of the street hawkers and the campaigns and the vehicles outside. And so I had to get back inside. Once this channel starts to grow, and I see that you guys are quite interested in such content, I might get a mic and we will be back into the vibrant and active background of the garden. Until then, there might be a faint noise still, but I promise you it's better than sitting outside. Anyways, that's what I wanted to tell you initially, and I think we can roll the intro with that. Again, so as we did in the previous video, we'll go through the poem once, and in the second reading, we can do the analysis, right? Line by line. So let's begin. 'Tis the beauty of nature that man can't help but desire. 'Tis the blooming flower that man can't help but admire. Rising above all manly constructs, the gigantic mountain does rise, crushing beneath the human ignorance by its sheer scale and size. Through the stretches of human land, the river flows in supple motion. Through racks and falls and hills, never fails to reach the shimmering ocean. But man too deserves his credit for being so observant and keen, cause in the absence of the admirer, even the admirable is left unseen. So that was the poem. Now we can read it line by line. Basically, let me describe the scenario in which this was written. Morning 8:30 to 9 in the morning, I was sitting outside on the ground floor. Remember, mind it, I was not on the roof this time, and that's why I was on the ground floor. I was seeing the garden in front of me, and the thoughts that were presently in my mind were that of like mountains, rivers, and as I told you last time also, I have quite an affinity with nature, which means a lot of my poems are, while inclined towards nature, they might have an altogether different topic or an altogether different feel to them, but the element, the natural element, that will probably always be present because I'm quite attracted to it. Anyways, the poem is written in the ABCB rhyme scheme as was the previous one. So the first line goes, "'Tis the beauty of nature that man can't help but desire. 'Tis the blooming flower that man can't help but admire." So when I sat down outside, I didn't quite have an idea as to what I was going to write today, not even the faintest one. I went outside, I saw a couple of different things that caught my eye, but I couldn't quite rest on one topic. I tried a few, I tried to form some lines, at least a single paragraph on any one of them, but it just didn't strike. But then a topic came into my mind, which was that let me tell them that while in my previous video I was condemning humans for how they had made the birds constantly afraid of them, in this poem, let me give them the credit. Let me show the world through this poem that humans actually too deserve their credit. That while we do appreciate nature for its beauty, humans also have their due credit. So for that, I start in this poem by telling how nature is observed by man, how nature is perceived by humanity, and what I feel nature is trying to do by exhibiting those forms. So in the first paragraph, I tell that it is the beauty of nature. It is the beauty of nature that we can't help but desire. Desire in the sense that every man wants to be pretty, every man wants to look good, but none of us can be as beautiful, as pretty as nature itself, because of course nature rules. And it is the blooming flower that man can't help but admire. So this line basically stresses on the fact that I'm giving an example of one of the pretty things that captured my eye, and there was like a big dahlia flower in front of me, and that is where this line basically came from. It is the blooming flower that man can't help but admire. What you'll be noticing through the poem is that the surroundings of a poet always affect the lines that go into it. Even if the surroundings are remotely related to the topic, they somehow get their path through the thoughts into the lines. Going on to the next paragraph, rising above all manly constructs, the gigantic mountain does rise, crushing beneath the human ignorance by its sheer scale and size. So here I am telling that another example of not among the pretty things, but among the other noticeable and must be addressed things of nature that I wanted to write about, which are the mountains. Their sheer scale. You won't realize just how tall the mountains and hills are, and we often underestimate them. In this paragraph, I say that almost all of the architecture that humanity has built, none has ever competed against the structures that nature has built. And not only that, the structures that humanity has built, they last for a particular amount of time. They may wither over time. But those of nature, well, nature has built them, and nature is the one that causes their withering. And so when these mountains wither, they still maintain a size that is quite beyond our reach. So I am stressing upon that point in this particular paragraph, where I'm saying that rising above all everything that we have built, there is this mountain that's rising, and beneath them they are crushing our ignorance. They are telling us that however arrogant you might feel of whatever you have built, nature has far already crossed that, and it is on absolutely another milestone. Moving on to the next paragraph. Through the stretches of human land, the river flows in supple motion. Through rocks and falls and hills, never fails to reach the shimmering ocean. So here we are telling that no matter how far and wide humanity might spread its arms, no matter how far and wide we might build our structures and our land, and no matter how far and wide we might spread our agricultural land, these rivers with all their bends and their meandering go through all of that. And that's why I've used the word supple, that they are flexible. They go through all of what we have built and never fail to reach the shimmering ocean. This paragraph stresses upon the flexibility of a river, and the river, which is one of the other formations of nature. It tells that no matter what we do, the river will find its way. And no matter not only we do, whatever the other aspects of nature are, the rocks, the falls and the hills, the river will reach its destination. That is a lesson in determination, which is quite a byproduct of the paragraph and not one that was intended by me, the poet. But the last paragraph, well, that is the one which is the real cherry on the cake for this poem. But man too deserves his credit for being so observant and keen, because in the absence of the admirer, even the admirable is left unseen. In this paragraph, I am telling that man also deserves his credit. While nature shows man that it is far more greater than us, we too are great in one particular manner. And that manner is that we are very good observers. Our language has evolved such that we can not only describe the stuff that we see, but also the stuff that we feel. And yeah, again, I have been reading the book Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, a wonderful read. I absolutely recommend to all of you. And this particular book inspired me for this paragraph, which was that man's language has evolved such that we can express our thoughts and feelings except for the physical world as well. And that is where this comes in. We are the ones who appreciate nature. We are the ones who write on it. We are the ones who paint it. We are the ones who absorb it into our feelings. And that is why I'm saying that if we, the admirers, would not have been present, the beauty of nature, the absolute wonderful stuff that nature has built, that would have gone unnoticed. The monkey can't write poems, right? If man wouldn't have been there, who would have described nature in such beautiful lines? A monkey can't be Vincent van Gogh. A monkey can't be Leonardo da Vinci, right? Who would have painted nature in such beautiful forms if man wouldn't have been there? And that is why man deserves his due credit. And that is where I leave the poem, leaving upon the reader to ponder how they are contributing to this movement of man to capture nature in its real glory. So that was the third poem of the challenge. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the concept of the poem and how these are inspired. Also, I believe these poems are of help to one of the younger poets out there, one of the budding poets out there who are starting their journey. My mission with this challenge is not only to grow my own abilities, but also to help you guys out there. And let me tell you something. When I started writing this particular poem, I was absolutely blank. Like for the previous one, I went upstairs and it absolutely struck me to write about birds. But for this one, I was blank. For like 10 minutes, I could not think of anything. But then suddenly it struck me. I want to tell you that if you are on a poetic journey, stay determined. Even if you are not able to write good, just write. No one cares whether you write good or bad. It would be only if you write. If you keep stressing upon your poem has to be perfect or not, that doesn't matter. Your poem has to be. And so go out there, absorb nature, see it, observe it, and just write it out whatever you feel. If you're liking this channel, please subscribe to the channel. That really helps in supporting me. Also, if you write anything of your own, do tag it using the hashtag given in the description on any of the social media platforms you desire, and I'll try to feature as many of them as possible in the video. Currently there were none. Anyways, that's me, Sanchit Batra, signing out for now. See you next week.